At this time, I'd like to call the City of Twinsburg regular council meeting for September 27th, 2022 to order. The time is 7:30 p.m. We're at the Twinsburg Government Center Council Chambers. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mrs. Labby?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Present.
Mr. Post?
Here.
Mr. Bellin?
Here.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Thank you. Moving on, I'd like to ask everybody to join Mr. Bellin, who will lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance this evening.
We ask for guidance and direction in all city matters before us tonight. We give thanks to be able to be together. Let us continue to strive to make our community a better place. Help us to work together, and may we give our best always. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Bellin. Moving on to item 3, the approval of minutes from the regular council meeting held September 13th, 2022. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes of the regular council meeting from the 13th?
Make a motion that we accept the minutes as submitted.
I'll second.
Mr. Fury made the motion, seconded by Mr. Post. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay, approval of the minutes passes 7-0. Moving on to awards and presentations. I believe we have 2 proclamations that Mayor Scafidi will be presenting this evening. Turn it over to you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. First, we'll have Mr. Spice. Come on. Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
You want to turn around and you can face it. Turn around a little bit, yeah, don't fall back. Okay. Okay, whereas the administration, council, and residents of the city of Twinsburg, Ohio extend a heartfelt congratulations to Donald R. Spice in celebration of 20 years of service on the Architectural Review Board. Whereas Don Spice was born April 24th, 1932 in the city of Mayfield Heights, Ohio, to Ernest and May Spice, who have been a resident of the city since 1965. And whereas Don, along with the principal Harold Braun, founded Braun and Spice Architects in 1971, later named Spice Constantino, which is now CBLH Design. And whereas he and his firm contributed to the success of healthcare centers, libraries, educational institutions, and places of worship throughout Northeast Ohio through their skills and high personal standards required by modern architectural practice. And whereas Don received numerous awards for his architectural designs, including the Huntington Bank drive-through, the OB-GYN building on Darrow Road, Twinsburg City Schools Administration Building, all of which were properties which belonged to the Twinsburg Banking Company. Twin Haven Reception Hall, the Twinsburg City Hall, Twinsburg Fire Station Number 1, Public Library, and St. Cosmos and Damian Church. And whereas Don was the Twinsburg Chamber of Commerce Person of the Year in 2000, and a member of the Twinsburg Volunteer Fire Department, and retired after 35 years of service with the rank of captain. And whereas now therefore be it proclaimed that on behalf of the City Council and the Mayor, we would like to personally congratulate Don Spice for his many contributions to the City of Twinsburg and his 20 years of service on the Architectural Review Board. We extend our sincerest commendation and recognition of this accomplishment. In witness thereof, we do hereby affix our signatures this September 27th, 2022. And it's signed by all of council and the mayor. So Don, congratulations. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. We appreciate you here in the city of Twinsburg, and that's all for you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks for Would you like to say anything?
I'm probably overstated that things that maybe I accomplished, but I enjoyed every minute.
You enjoyed every minute of it? Well, we enjoyed having you here, and your accomplishments have all helped the city of Twinsburg, which we truly appreciate you. Thank you for everything.
Can I say something? The CBLH of the design firm now, when the L stands for Lizard, Mike Lizard went to school, lived here, and his mother still lives in Twinsburg.
Oh, that's even better. There you go. Yeah, there you go. It's another little part of history we got.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Thank you for everything. Does the family want to come up and take a picture?
Okay.
Sure.
You part of the picture?
I could step out.
Or
You can hold the plaque.
I'm staying. Mom, over here. Where?
If someone wants to give me a phone, I can take it with that too.
You want to hold the plaque or do you want to hold it either way? All right.
One here, this is one. One more here. I get one.
Mark, let me step out. Just take the family. How's that? Go ahead.
This is family.
There. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, more talent in the room. Pete Metropolis, come on up. Pete. How are you? Good, good. Okay. Whereas the administration and council and residents of the city of Twinsburg, Ohio extend their heartfelt congratulations to Peter W. Metropolis in celebration of his service on multiple commissions and notable accomplishments. Whereas Peter Metropolis was born June 13, 1950 in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania to William and Lillian Metropolis. He has been married to Catherine A. Metropolis for 30 years and has 2 children, Keith and Clara. And whereas Peter was a member of the Charter Review Commission in 1976, a member of City Council 1977 to 1980, a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals 1988 to 1990, and whereas he served on the Advisory Committee for Western Reserve CATV 1985 to 1986, and was a board member of the Western Reserve CATV in 1991 to 1994. And whereas Peter was chair for the Charter Review Commission in 1994 and served on the Charter Review Commission in 2000, and whereas he has served on the Comprehensive Plan Review from 2004 to 2005 and on the Planning Commission from 2011 to 2022. And whereas Peter helped initiate Community Focus, formerly Cable 9, whose local programming operates at an exceptional level in the City of Twinsburg Planning Department, which saw unprecedented progress compared to other cities in this area. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that on behalf of City Council and the Mayor, we would like to personally congratulate Peter Metropolis on his retirement on March 31st, 2022, and his years of service to our community. We extend our sincerest best wishes and congratulations. In witness thereof, we do hereby affix our signatures this September 27, 2022, again signed by the Mayor and all of Council. Pete, thank you so much for all your contributions and everything that you've done for the city of Twinsburg. I know as long as I've been coming around to Twinsburg City Hall, Pete's been here, and so has Don been here. So these guys are real pioneers, and they've really helped our community tremendously and helped it grow. So we wish you the best of health and best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Does your family want to come up and take a picture?
Come on. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you much, everyone.
We can maybe take just a quick 5-minute recess if anybody wants to congratulate Mr. Spicer, Mr. Metropolis, and then we'll reconvene here at 7:45. Audience participation, item number 5. Do we have any audience participation?
Yes, we have two. First, we have Karen Clinton.
Karen Clinton, take this off. Glenwood Drive, Twinsburg. I'm glad you're back from break. I wanted to talk a little bit again about Old Mill. You know, it saddens me that they've had to struggle this way, and they have been here to talk to you about their concerns and their worries. You went out, you visited the land, you know what's going on, and yet you chose to take the side of the developer. It's very sad. A lot of things have happened, and I believe you've been given bad information. Everybody here knows that our zoning code is bad. As a matter of fact, things were said to the court that were untrue. So I'm actually going to ask and move this council to do a motion to fire our law director effective immediately. He knew that the building height was 45. When these people came to planning, they discussed what was wrong, their concerns, their wells. It just fell on deaf ears. Nobody cares. Everybody gets aggravated and says, oh, we care, we care. Nobody cares. If you did, we wouldn't be spending taxpayers' money to fight our own city. The city that I worked due diligently for on the police department, the city that I worked as a volunteer firefighter when it wasn't popular. We didn't make big money, but yet I got up at 3 in the morning in the snow, and I rolled over a car with gasoline and oil dripping in my face to save lives, to build this community into what it is that you guys are tearing down. We are angry, and I am trying to keep this tone down because we are angry citizens. We're not happy out there, and we're promoting, oh, vote for me, vote for me. Why? What have you done besides build a golf course that has put us into so much debt that we begged you, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, and you did it anyway. So here we are today. And then you'll boast, well, we got $35 million. Do we really? Do we really? Look at our roads. Look at our parks. Look at, if you took that money and put it into the city we used to be, we'd be in a deficit. And you can smirk in my face, Mr. Fury, and that's fine. You know I'm telling you the truth.
You address the chair, please.
Sorry. You're absolutely right, Scott. Again, I digress. I'm asking you to do a motion to fire our law director effective immediately. It's nice to see he's awake tonight, normally sleeping. Review the videos. He sleeps through the meetings. He's giving you bad information. He is an officer of the court and an officer of the tribunal, and he has lied to them.
Okay. I don't think there's any actual proof of that. So.
Oh, there is.
Is there anything else that you have?
No, I'm requesting a motion.
Okay.
As if somebody here to have the courage to do that.
Summarily denied, ma'am. There will be no motion.
Thank you.
Shannon.
Next, we have Sheila Williams.
Good evening, Ms. Williams.
Hello there. I'm coming as a resident. I want to talk about the service department. I thought I loved the police department the best, but I'm starting to kind of sway towards the service department. I've been watching them all summer with the flowers. Well, I'm going to go back to the tulips. The tulips were magnificent in the spring. Then I saw them plant all the flowers, and some of you may be aware or not be aware, but I was a part of the original beautification that the city did. And a lot of these beds, me and Catherine Tyler and a couple of others, we were the ones that used to be out there digging the holes, planting flowers, worried about getting hit. Then it went to Parks and Recs, and now it's under the service department. And I guess I would say it's probably part of the summer jobs for young folks to give them something to do. And I've seen the girls out there with the buckets weeding. I watched them here recently pull out all of the summer flowers and plant the magnificent mums. And they're starting to open up. And I just wanted to say thank you to the service department, and a special thanks to Dennis Skeet. He cut down a field where we were having some real problems with mice and rodents here recently. And I called and I talked with Chris about it, and I talked with Dennis about it, and I said, if we only can get it cut 4 times a year, I could appreciate that, because I understand these guys are busy. And I went past this morning, and it was down to the ground. And I called him and I told him I loved him so much, and I was going to tell everybody tonight in front of you all that I love him and I thank him. And the service department is underrated. A lot of people don't realize that they work hard outside, cutting the grass, checking the weeds, and doing all the things. And as we get ready to go into the winter months, I just want to tell them thank you for the service that they give us. And as we look at these moms over the next couple of weeks, as they're going to be opening up, think about the guys that are out there working. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you. Kind words. I'm sure Chris's phone call from you was the highlight of his day.
I blocked him in
That's great. All right. Any more audience participation?
That's all we have this evening.
All right. Moving on to council communication and committee reports. Mr. Post, we can start with you this evening.
What an honor. Thank you, sir. I just wanted to let everyone know that one of the things the Environmental Commission's really working hard to do is communication. And I'm very excited that they are planning with the library. They're having an evening at the library, an hour and a half on November 9th from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. A way for the community to come to the library and educate them. It's called Earth, the Footprint We Leave, Think Globally, Act Locally. I know Mr. Bonacci will be one of the speakers. They're trying to get a few speakers there. And I have here we're going to be talking about how we influence our impact, the systems, waste management, recycling, water stewardship, sustainability, and best practices. And so I'm very excited that the Environmental Commission is doing exactly what they said they're going to do, which is educate the community more. And so that is on November 9th from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. I will talk more details as we get closer. And that is my report. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Post. Mrs. Labby, good evening.
Good evening, thank you. I attended the ribbon cutting of the Great Bridge Tea House on Thursday, September 15th in the town square. They're reopening and they're going to be doing monthly public tea events, and they're very excited about that. I also attended the CIC meeting later that evening, and I'm sure Bill will report on that. There were no other meetings for my this past week, so that's all I have to report.
Terrific, thank you. Mr. Fury, good evening.
Thank you, good evening. On 9/15, I attended an ARB meeting. There were 4 cases. The first case was a sign for the Dollar Tree on Darrow Road. Case number was 220949. It passed 4-0. Then there was a demolition of an old garage from a house on 1940 Westwood Drive. They needed the demolition so they could build a new detached garage. So case 220950 allowed 1940 Westwood to demolish a garage. Case 220951 approved the plan or the architecture for the new garage. And the last case was 220952 on East Aurora Road. They were going to put a new shed in a C5 district that would be used really as a studio for art classes for kids, and that'd be on Route 82. And looking forward to seeing that business open. There is not an agenda for the next meeting as of yet, so I'm not sure when we're going to have the next ARB meeting. As Mrs. Labby said, we did have a CIC meeting on the 15th of September. At that time, we talked about downtown redevelopment, some appraisals we had done for properties that the CIC owns, and possibly divesting of some of them, one on Haddon Road. And that was pretty much the meat of the On 9/21, I attended a candidates night that was held at the Senior Center, Community Center. I want to thank Laura Seifert and her staff for putting that together. Mark Katowski did all the audio and video. I very much appreciated being part of that event. On 10/12, the police and fire will have an open house. I'll be volunteering at the Jedi table at part of our community outreach with the police department, and looking forward to that very much. I would like to congratulate Don Spice and his wife Anne Marie. They have been special people to me for a long period of time. We attend church together, been in the community, we've been on other boards together, and really glad that we finally got that together for Mr. Spice and honor him as he should be. And Pete Metropolis, I didn't realize he had done all those things in the past. I knew he was a councilman in the past and that, but I think I replaced him as the Cable 9 person in 1994 when Mr. Karabeck appointed me to that when he got off. So, but Pete's been a good friend and also did an outstanding job on our planning commission for the last 10 years in addition to all the other things he did. And the last thing I had is I had a finance question last week, and I wasn't really paying attention to the day, so I texted our finance director, Sarah Buccigrass, and she responded with a nice picture of Miles Anthony Buccigrass, who was born on 9/19, and he weighed 18 pounds, and he was born at 4:52.
8 pounds. 18.
What did I say, 18?
You said 18.
Normal is normal baby.
Normal baby. I've got a picture. He doesn't look that big. That I'll share with all of you. And he born at 9:52 in the morning, and I couldn't believe that she responded to me, but that was just fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing her back sometime and being able to greet Miles. So, and that's all I have this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Mrs. Walker. Hello.
Okay, after I finish laughing.
18-8. What are you gonna do?
Hey. Okay. All right. I did talk with Jessica Simarek. You know, she's part of our JEDI committee regarding community involvement. And there was a list that she presented to me, and it had about maybe 10 or 12 items on it. But we narrowed it down to one, which will be on October 12th. We'll be working with you, you know, with the police department. This coming Friday, I know that's in Karen's ward, but there will be a ribbon cutting at the tea house this coming Friday. And
The tea house?
yeah, and they're going to have special teas they're going to sample. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Daisy.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Mr. Bellin, good evening.
Thank you. Good evening, sir. The Golf Advisory Board met on Tuesday, September 20th. We got a golf operations update from Brian Menard. Total sales this year are up 8.2% over last year. Range operations are up 13% year over year. About 50% of the carts have had their batteries swapped out already. The remainder will be completed prior to the end of the season this year. We got a maintenance update from Jim Roberts. All of the annuals have been removed. The mums were being planted. Every year we do about between 50 and 100 ash trees are removed, and we're on target for that this year as well. The fall aeration had begun, the tees and approaches had already been completed, and the greens were actually scheduled for this week. Weather dependent. I'm not sure if they got to them this week with all the rain that we've gotten. We also had a really good discussion about the restaurant and the servicing of the golfers up there. I had a conversation with Mayor Scafidi subsequent to that meeting, and I believe that we're going to sit down and have a meeting with A&M here in the very near future to talk about the concerns of the Golf Advisory Board. I did see that A&M had a Clear the Cooler event on the night of the Browns-Steelers game, which was last Thursday. They had free appetizers, snacks, and they also had a suggestion box and ballots to talk about kind of next season's offerings. So hopefully they have heard some of our concerns and are making some changes moving forward. The next meeting of the Golf Advisory Board will be on Tuesday, November 15th here in Council Chambers. Public Works meeting will be on Tuesday, November 8th, 6 p.m. here in Council Chambers. And the next meeting of the Finance Committee will be on Tuesday, November 22nd, also here in Council Chambers. Nothing further this evening. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mellon. So since our last council meeting, the Planning Commission met and had a pretty full agenda. That meeting was held September 19th here at Council Chambers. There were 3 public hearings that evening. Conditional use permit, actually 2, a public facilities district hearing as it pertains to the fire department. During the work session and subsequent meetings, several items were voted upon. The first being a conditional use permit for a religious institution. This was the church in Cleveland. They want to use a facility that they occupy at 2057 East Aurora Road. That passed 4-0. There was a conditional use permit for a resident on Pine Bark Place. That passed 4-0 as well. There was an accessory structure site plan approval for the Twinsburg City Fire Department. They've got some shipping containers in the back that they're going to use for training facility, and I do applaud the chief's use of creative engineering, so to speak, to keep within budget on that project. That passed 4-0. The Paul Mitchell School also asked for an industrial use determination pursuant to section 1149.02H to actually expand their school into an area that is currently zoned industrial, and that passed 4-0 as well. And finally, there was a site plan for the October Sun Studio and Art Gallery, 2633 East Aurora Road. Planning Commission passed that 4-0. Given the timeliness of that particular issue at the October Sun Studio, the applicant was hoping to get some things underway here in the month of October. So I do have a motion this evening that I'd like to make as it regards to that. Planning Commission forwarded to City Council for confirmation a recommendation of a site plan approval of an accessory structure at 2633 East Aurora Road. The site plan was reviewed at the 9/19 Commission meeting. The motion was made by Mr. Cohen, seconded by Mr. Shipley, and again, it did pass unanimously. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion that Council affirm the Planning Commission's approval of a site plan for the location of an accessory structure at 2633 East Aurora Road, pursuant to section 1181.09. and is recommended for approval by the Planning Commission at their September 19th, 2022 meeting. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion or questions?
Where exactly is it?
It's in the rear of the property. So it's basically a sort of a structure similar to a shed that she's going to use for an art studio.
Oh, okay.
And it's for therapeutic and business and things like that. It is a C5 mixed-use location, so it does fit within all the parameters of the zoning code. It's a 12 by 24 shed, actually. Thank you for clarification on that. Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
All right, the motion passes 7-0. I appreciate council's attention to that to try and assist this resident with this project. That was about it for the Planning Commission. None of my other committees have met, and we do not have a date yet for the October Planning Commission meeting, but as soon as that becomes available, we'll make sure it's on the website and get it out to everybody. That concludes my report. Moving on, Mayor Scafidi, good evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Barr. Yeah, I wanted to write up just a couple of things, keeping in tone with the reports that I've been giving since I've been in this seat, and trying to ramp up our business retention in the community, we've been meeting with various businesses throughout the city and sitting down with them and just talking with them and trying to get a feel for where they're at, kind of a wellness check. We're doing our own in-house wellness checks. You know, I've said it before, the county does those. We're able to go on Zoom with them, and they'll be, the county will pick one of the businesses in our community, and we'll have a Zoom meeting. It'll be the county, it'll be the business, and it'll be our economic development director and I, and we just have a discussion with them to see how they're doing, how their business is doing, what their problems are, you know, what their concerns are, if they have any, and what their successes are, basically. Well, the last couple of weeks, we, after, and I know I spoke about this last time, but Kent State had their 10-year anniversary in our community, and they did a new ribbon cutting there. And so I was proud to be able to be there and attend that. Like I told them, I was there 10 years ago as a councilman when they cut the ribbon for the new building, and then 10 years later, here we are, and they're still in the community and doing another ribbon cutting, so I was very proud to be there. But we already had this meeting scheduled with the dean, and Rebecca, our economic development director, and I, we went in there and we sat down with the dean, and she showed us, we went on another tour, and it's been 10 years since I toured that building, and just going over some of the programs that they have, some of the classes that the people are taking there and what their attendance is. And I mean, the facility, if you look at it and going through this building, it looks just as nice as the day that we cut the ribbon when they were brand new. And so, and I told her that she should be proud of that because it looked really, really good. So we just sat down and after our tour, we chatted quite a bit about, you know, the city, and she goes over the history a little bit, how they started at Chrysler and moved to the old school and so on, and now to this building, and how they're so pleased to be here in the city of Twinsburg, and, you know, how the city works with them and so cooperative. So that was our meeting there. That went, again, real well. We did have a ribbon cutting, and I think Karen mentioned it at the tea house down in the square. They had a grand reopening, and that was my first time in that little facility there, and what a nice place that is. Unfortunately, it's not a restaurant that you can just walk into anymore and just sit down. They're doing more catering there and more scheduled parties. But if ever you get a chance to go there, it's really, they did a great job with that, and it's really a quaint place. So again, I encourage everybody to attend our city businesses as much as we can, all of them. Just a couple reminders. I think somebody mentioned the Police and Fire Open House is on October 12th from 5:30 to 8:30, and that's always a great event. And you know, if you've never been there, try to get there because they do a great job. Both departments do a really good job. The Fall Fest will be October 22nd at Glen Chamberlain Park. The Turkey Trot, once again, our annual Turkey Trot is November 13th, and then our annual Luminosity will be on November 26th. The Board of Zoning Appeals has no meeting scheduled, and I think we need to give a shout out to our building department because they're doing a really good job. When somebody brings plans in, they go over what they need and what the requirements are and what they can and can't do, and they're doing it there. So we're not getting as, just in the last couple months, we haven't had as many people coming in for variances because, you know, we still have businesses coming in, but they're being told up front what they can and can't do, and those guys are doing a really good job in there. So I give a shout out to them. One other shout out I want to give to is our planner and our economic development director. We had somebody mention Paul Mitchell, and Paul Mitchell was able to get their to the special, what is it?
Industrial use determination.
Industrial use, yeah. Zoning to move. Paul Mitchell came to us and they were like distraught. The husband and wife that own that, and they said, we need more space. We just need more space. We've outgrown. We've been 20 years over there in Masaros Plaza, and now they're going to expand. They're going to be having a barber school there, not only a beauty school, but barber school, and they're going to be teaching nails there, and they're just expanding. They're growing and growing, and they didn't want to leave Twinsburg. That was the biggest thing that they told us that day. And so Rebecca and Lynn went to work, and they looked around, and they had found this property on their own. but we had to find a way that they would fit into this industrial use. And lo and behold, it was there. And we were able to do that. And then the Planning Commission, they took it there, and they passed it for them. And these two folks were so happy to see that they can stay in Twinsburg. They like it here. They've been here. They've operated here. And so those are the kind of things that we need more of, you know, and that's the kind of things that we're trying to build, is to get folks to come in here and make us their first call and not their last call when they need a bigger building or when they need to expand. And they come to the city first and say, can you help me? What do you have? What can you do? We had another developer come in and say, you know, is there any property? I'm looking for some property. I've got this idea. And, you know, that happens all the time. And these gals are working very hard at it and doing a really good job. So I just want to give a shout out to our economic development and our planning department for all that they're doing. I appreciate them. And that's the end of my report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we have any department heads reporting this evening?
We have no department head reports tonight, especially, you know, like we said, Mrs. Bucci-Gross usually gives her report, but she's at home reporting to little Anthony, so.
Absolutely.
Or little Miles Anthony.
Miles
yes.
Anthony.
Right, the 18-pounder.
What a beast.
Oh, boy. All right, that moves us on to item number 9, legislation. We'll start this evening with Ordinance 75, 2022.
An ordinance amending Section 105.01 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Twinsburg, describing and identifying new wards and boundaries in accordance with the report of the Districting Commission as required by Section 3.02 of the Charter of the City of Twinsburg, and declaring an emergency.
All right. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place Ordinance 75, 2022 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
A second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. The reason for the emergency this evening is so that we can get this to the Summit County Board of Elections in a timely manner. Is there any discussion on the emergency? All right, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
The emergency clause passes 7-0. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 75, 2022 as an emergency. May I have a second?
I will second.
Mrs. Labby seconds. Any further discussion on this? Okay, I'd just like to again thank the members of the Districting Commission for all their hard work. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
All right, Ordinance 75, 2022 passes as an emergency 7-0. Ordinance 77, 2022.
An ordinance enacting new Chapter 919, illicit discharge and illegal connection control of the Streets and Utilities and Public Services Code of the City of Twinsburg.
All right, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 77, 2022. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any further discussion on 77, 2022? Hearing none. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ordinance 77, 2022 passes 7-0. Moving on, Ordinance 83, 2022.
An ordinance establishing a fixed asset policy for the City of Twinsburg.
Okay. That's its first reading. Or is it the second? It's second reading. My apologies. Moving on, Ordinance 84, 2022.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement authorizing the Ohio Department of Transportation to perform bridge inspection program services within the City of Twinsburg Corporation limits and declaring an emergency.
All right, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place Ordinance 84, 2022 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. The reason for the emergency is so that the city can get on ODOT's list for annual required bridge inspections. Any additional discussion? Okay, Shannon, please call the roll on the emergency.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
All right, the emergency clause passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 84, 2022 as an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion on 84? Again, this is just for bridge inspection. It comes at no cost to the city. Hearing no additional discussion, Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
All right, Ordinance 84, 2022 passes as an emergency 7-0. Moving along, Ordinance 85, 2022.
An ordinance authorizing the purchase of 2 ambulance units through Horton Emergency Vehicles for use by the fire department and declaring an emergency.
All right, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place Ordinance 85, 2022 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. The reason for the emergency clause this evening is to secure financing and avoid potential increases to the purchase price of these vehicles. And the chief has been asking them for a while, so we want to get these ordered as soon as possible. Any additional discussion on the emergency? All right, hearing none. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
The emergency clause passes 7-0. This time I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 85, 2022 as an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second. I'll yield.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any further discussion on 85, 2022? This comes to us at a cost of $699,114. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Ordinance 85, 2022 passes as an emergency 7-0. Ordinance 86, 2022.
An ordinance authorizing the city to apply for a grant from the Urban Canopy Restoration Grant Program for replacement of planting of trees at Glen Meadow Park and declaring an emergency.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place Ordinance 86, 2022 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Scafidi seconds. The reason for the emergency is to get the grant submitted before the October 14th deadline. Any additional discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
All right, the emergency clause passes 7-0. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 86, 2022 as an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second. I'll yield.
Mr. Scafidi gets a second on that. Any further discussion on the trees?
Yeah, I just want to say that this will be in Glen Meadow Park, and that's going to be a really nice addition to that park. There's residents there that some of those trees are dying out now, and a few years back we replaced the playground, and some of the residents along Bell Meadow there were looking for some type of buffer there between their backyards and the park area. So I think it's going to be a really nice addition, and I think that'll be a nice addition for the residents along Bell Meadow as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This grant is a 50-50 match, so it's definitely to our advantage. Any additional discussion? All right, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Ordinance 86, 2022 passes as an emergency 7-0. Moving on, Ordinance 87, 2022.
An ordinance accepting the bid of municipal and contractor sealing products for the 2022 sewer lining project and declaring an emergency.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place Ordinance 87, 2022 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. The reason for the emergency is so we can enter to the agreement and get materials ordered so we can get the work done in the off-season here while the golf operations are ceased. Any additional discussion? All right, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
The emergency clause passes 7-0. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 87-2022 as an emergency. May I have a second?
No second.
Mrs. Labby seconds. Any further discussion on 87? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ordinance 87-2022 passes as an emergency 7-0. Ordinance 88-2022.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with AT&T for the purpose of replacing the dispatch center's phone system and associated professional services, therefore, and declaring an emergency.
All right, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place Ordinance 88-2022 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second. Yield.
Mrs. Walker seconds. The reason for the emergency is to get phones updated and working and secure the quoted rate. Again, this is for our police and fire telecommunications dispatch center. Any further discussion on the emergency? All right, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
The emergency clause passes 7-0. This time I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 88-2022 as an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any further discussion on 88? Hearing none, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Ordinance 88-2022 passes as an emergency 7-0. That concludes legislation. Moving on to unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. Mr. Bellin.
Thank you. We got a postcard this evening. There's a bookmobile rollout on Friday, October 7th at 4 p.m. It says, please join us in celebrating the acquisition of our new bookmobile that will get us back on the road for new reading adventures in the community. This drop-in event includes a tour of the new bookmobile, alpacas, bunnies, and music. So that is Friday, October 7th from 4 to 7 p.m. Also, I just wanted to bring up, we have council meetings and some other meetings scheduled on Election Day, which is Tuesday, November 8th. I just wanted to confirm that those, I've had a couple questions about it. Are those meetings in fact going to happen on election night?
Council.
I think that given the situation, we should probably move that meeting a week forward or a week backward. Do you want to make that motion now?
I don't know what the...
Or two, I mean...
There may be two of us not here, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in the interest of...
It definitely should get moved.
Okay, so...
It's definitely should get moved.
Let's take a look at the calendar.
So that is the November 8th is the second Tuesday, which is the typical. So I would suggest that we would move it to November 1st versus the 15th, but I could be...
I have no issue with that. Does anybody have any conflicts?
I don't.
Hold on.
Mrs. Collins, has your schedule, or do we have any conflicts in the
Not about
room?
me, it's about the room
Right,
availability.
yeah.
That would be the first.
Yes.
It's my
Weird.
daughter's 21st birthday that day, but I can meet her.
She can come in and take
Right.
it. Yeah.
The room's good.
We'll buy her a
Room's good.
cake.
Okay.
you wanna make a motion,
That being said, I'd like to make a motion that we move the regularly scheduled council meeting from November 8th, 2022 to November 1st, 2022.
Do we need to say caucus and council?
Yes, I suppose, yeah, correct. It would be caucus and council meeting.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor. Any discussion on the motion?
Need a
Are
second.
we a second?
Yeah,
When
a
is
second.
Thanksgiving? Well, I'm trying to figure this out. Does it make
That'd be
sense?
24th,
Thursday in November.
Yeah.
And we have a meeting
the
the
22nd.
22nd. Would it
Correct.
make sense to make it the 15th and the 29th instead? And because if we make it the 1st, it's literally a week after the last council meeting.
Mm-hmm. If you move it to the 15th, it's the week before. It's the same situation either way. We're gonna have two back-to-back either way. It's
Well, I
either,
was just saying, since it's Thanksgiving week on the 22nd, would it make more sense to move both? Make it the 15th and the 29th?
Why don't we bump into December, which we typically have to move
yeah,
up
we
because of the
typically already move
27th.
meetings in
Okay.
December anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would suggest we move to the
Moving
1st.
forward as opposed to closer to December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Post seconds. Any additional discussion on Mr. Bellin's motion? Okay.
Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. That's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Bellin, your motion passes 7-0, so the caucus and regularly scheduled council meeting of November 8th, 2022 will be moved 1 week prior to November 1st. All the times shall remain the same. Okay, Mrs. Walker, any miscellaneous new business, unfinished business?
No, I have nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Fury?
Nothing this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Post?
Ms. Collins, is it too late to register for the Sunday Fun Run?
You can still register. The t-shirts are not guaranteed. First come, first served for
For the t-shirts?
the t-shirts.
The t-shirts. So on Sunday, October 2nd, this Sunday from at 12 o'clock, it goes at 12 o'clock, we have the Rotary is doing a fun run. I know I was talking about the Rotary up here. I think the Rotary does great things for the city. It's a fun run that is starting at Sassy's. The run is going to, a lot of times there's 5K and 10K runs out there, full and half marathons. This is a 0.75K, which is about a 1/3 of a mile. Start at Sassy's, run around the building, and end back at Sassy's. There'll be bibs and timers and all that, so it's meant to be just a fun day to raise money for the community as well. There won't be a t-shirt if you register at this time, but you can still join in. It is also timed to finish right at the Browns away game, so then you can stay the rest of the day and enjoy the game and do all that. This Sunday is also my father's 80th birthday, so that's exciting. And that is my story. If you want to find out information, you can go online and find out about the Rotary. Just Google the Rotary, Twinsburg Rotary, there it is. All right, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Post. Mrs. Labby?
Thank you. I have one thing to say. In a previous life, I was a human resources administrator. I dealt with employment lawyers, workers' comp lawyers, immigration lawyers, you name it, I dealt with them. I can assure the residents of Twinsburg that we have an excellent counselor here. Keeping in mind that my position may not be the same as his, he never let that get in way of his counsel to me. Never let his opinion or his ego, which is huge for a lawyer, stand in the way. He is an exceptional lawyer. Thank you, Ann.
Thank you, Mrs. Labby. Mr. Scafidi?
I will second her motion, but I have nothing else this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vazana?
Nothing more to add. Thank you.
Mrs. Collins?
Nothing, thank you.
I have nothing other than I will echo Mrs. Labby's sentiment. We are very fortunate to have Mr. Vazana represent the city of Twinsburg. We have no absent members to excuse this evening. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the regular council meeting at 8:27 p.m. May I have a second?
I'll second. I'll yield.
Mrs. Labby seconds. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes?
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
The motion passes 7-0. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Bell.